You know, in triathlon, it's funny how the biggest setbacks can actually become your strongest foundation. So today we're going to dive into how to turn those challenges into real triumphs and how every single obstacle can be a stepping stone to success. Have you ever had that feeling, an injury, a really disappointing race, or maybe you've just hit a plateau in your training? That feeling of hitting a brick wall is something we all know. It's a huge fear for sure, but as we're got to see, it's almost never the end of the road. And that's really the core idea we're digging into. It's not just about gritting your teeth and pushing through the pain. No, it's about a total shift in perspective, seeing every single challenge as an opportunity to get stronger, smarter, and way more resilient. Okay, so it all starts with your mindset. This is the engine, right? It's what drives every great comeback. It's the mental framework that literally separates the people who get stopped by obstacles from the ones who are actually strengthened by them. I mean, just look at Hayden Wild's comeback. This guy didn't just recover from what could have been a career-ending accident. He came back to absolutely dominate the sport. His journey is such a powerful example of how pure determination and really smart training can turn a devastating setback into a truly defining moment. And resilience is just a universal theme in this sport, isn't it? We see it everywhere, like in the incredible discipline of that young Kazakh team just sweeping a podium, or Riley Walsh's victory, totally fueled by his hometown community. And then there's Rob Watson reinventing his whole athletic career at 42. All these stories, plus the unbelievable journeys of Paralympic athletes, they just prove one thing. The biggest barriers are almost always the ones we build in our own minds. So that's the why. But how do you actually translate that resilient mindset into a winning performance? Well, that's where strategy comes in. Look, mental toughness is absolutely crucial, but a smart race plan, that's what gets you across the finish line first. And speaking of winning, Georgia Taylor Brown's performance was just breathtaking. Seriously, this wasn't just a win. It was a complete redefinition of what anyone thought was even possible in the sport. 3 hours, 51 minutes, and 19 seconds. Just let that sink in for a moment. That's not just a number on a screen. That's a story of incredible endurance, raw power, and absolutely flawless execution. And this record wasn't just about pure physical strength. Oh no, it was a masterclass in tactical brilliance. I mean, her splits were just incredibly consistent. That shows you she executed her race plan perfectly. From the swim to the bike, all the way through that blistering run, knowing exactly when to push, when to conserve energy, and how to keep up that relentless pace, that's what made the difference. It's such a powerful lesson for every single one of us. And hey, if you're thinking, yeah, but that level of success must take a decade, well, Cameron Main's story is going to make you think again. His debut Ironman win shows that with the right strategy and that same resilience, progress can be fast. It's such a clear example of how smart, focused training can totally outperform years of just, unfocused effort. But let's be real for a second. No athlete achieves this stuff in a vacuum, right? That brings us to the third critical piece of the puzzle, the community that surrounds you. So think about this question. It's a super common one for aspiring Ironman athletes. The gear choices alone can be totally overwhelming. And this is exactly where the shared wisdom of the community becomes like your most valuable asset. And the answer you get from people who've actually been there, it's crystal clear. You do not need to break the bank. For your first Ironman, being comfortable on a bike you already know and trust is way more important than some tiny aerodynamic gain. A professional bike fit and some clip-on aero bars, that's your best first step, hands down. And this quote from Alex, who's a 3-time Ironman finisher, just sums it up perfectly. Getting that real-world experience from a fellow athlete is often the most valuable advice you can possibly get. Okay, here's another classic challenge. You're preparing for a summer race, but it's the middle of winter. How in the world do you train for heat and humidity when it's freezing outside? Well, the community has some pretty great insights on this too. So the consensus from the community really points to a balanced strategy. Training outside builds that gritty mental toughness and real-world endurance you just can't fake. But your indoor sessions, that's where you can strategically simulate race day conditions in a totally controlled way. The key is just leveraging the benefits of both. And look, this support network goes so much deeper than just gear and training tips. It's about navigating really complex health issues, like the athlete who found out he had blocked arteries, but discovered a community to help him redefine his limits safely. It's about getting clarity on some obscure race rule before it costs you a race. It's about sharing the absolute shock and pure joy of qualifying for nationals. It's about finding your tribe.
All right, so we've seen the power of mindset, the brilliance of strategy, and the strength of community. Now for the most important part, how do you take all this and apply it to your own journey? I like to think of it as a three-legged stool for triathlon success. You've got mindset, strategy, and community. If any one of those legs is weak, the whole thing gets wobbly and unstable. But when you strengthen all three, man, you build an absolutely unstoppable foundation. So here's your mission for this week. Don't just listen to this stuff, act on it. Just pick one of these things. Reframe a past setback into a comeback plan. Set one new strategic training goal. Reach out to a training partner or find an online community. Or, hey, just try a new challenging exercise, like a Hyrox-inspired move, just to shake things up. Make it real. Because at the end of the day, every world record and every finish line is just the result of a series of small, intentional steps. So the only question left is, what's your first step going to be?